So when it comes to consumer habits, I think the best way to look at it is really navel gazing. So you look at yourself, you look at the types of consumer applications that you're using day to day. Think of things like Uber, for instance, while it's still around in London, and others. Really, one-click shopping cart experiences with Amazon Prime. These day-to-day things that we're using out of preference because it's convenient. It is really convenient for us as individuals. So what then happens and manifests itself is that actually then drives consumer behavior in a B2C and a B2B context where people are taking these expectations and experiences into a commerce context, and they're expecting the same things from the retailers, postal authorities, and technology providers. So we do a lot of talking about this as a leading supply chain technology provider. The reason we feel greater collaboration is as important between retailers, postal authorities, and carriers in particular is simply put in two words: Alibaba and Amazon. They're really the 400 million ton gorillas out there at the moment. They're investing a huge amount of capital and have the good fortune of being able to operate at significantly inflated, in my opinion, price earnings multiples, raise capital cheaply, and therefore make a whole lot of different investments out there in the industry. So what that's manifesting in essence, is that they're using this sort of flywheel technology and marketplace approach to ultimately gain market share and then drive down costs and efficiencies into each segment that they move into. So for purpose of today, it's no secret that Amazon, with the launch of Amazon Prime, for example, is going after the international air cargo market, or we should say for purpose of internal supply chain, disintermediating their traditional cargo and postal suppliers. On the ground, they're probably one of the biggest 3PLs in the world now, with Amazon fulfillment by Amazon, 160 new DCs around the world, etc. So really, the point is that in order to combat that, the industry, as in the collaboration between the postal authorities and the retailers, really do come down to, and it's a fundamentally existential issue. Otherwise, we'll all end up working for the big beast. So we do a lot of talking about this. Like last week, quite funnily, we're called a futurist, which I scoffed at, because really what we talk about is reality now. Technology is driving consumer. We discussed consumer trends before, driving technology, driving behaviors. But we see several trends as kind of very much at the core of the big shift in e-commerce and commerce logistics in particular. First one being is dynamic rerouting and the ability to receive parcels irrespective of where you are. You could be at a pub one day, for example. You're running late to go home to pick up your hourly slot delivery. You will be able to reroute that delivery to your particular location at that point in time. And as a customer, personally, I'd be prepared to pay extra for that. So the whole burden of cost doesn't have to fall on the carrier. It can actually be pushed out to the consumer. Our data shows that consumers are actually willing to pay for those premium experiences and convenience. Second thing, there's huge developments in omni-channel and retail. A lot of bricks and mortar B2C and B2B retailers are wisening up to the opportunity they've got to use store-based inventory, for example, or liberating store-based inventory, as we call it, for purpose of click and collect and ship from store. There's a lot of innovation happening in that space at the moment. In cross-border, there's a huge amount of innovation happening as well, being the fastest growth segment in commerce, both domestically and internationally. Accessing an international market, we're seeing postal authorities, carriers, aggregators using technology as a way to improve how they partner with other third parties in those domestic markets so that they can become a bit more flexible in how they operate commercially. So all those types of models are made possible. And of course, we could talk about AI and robotics until we're blue in the face, but I think one really interesting trend that we're seeing is, again, Amazon is investing a huge amount in the whole personal AI experience, like Alexa. It's one of their highest rates of patenting, and current capital investment is to do with innovation in Alexa. So what our data shows is that by 2020, about 35% of all purchases online, if you can call it that, will actually be made bot to bot. So it will actually be either Alexa making an order on your behalf or predicting some sort of house-based inventory that you require, whether it's toilet paper or cleaner or something that's actually in the fridge. So a lot of those purchasing decisions will actually be made by artificial intelligence in the next few years.